There's a level of success that most people dream about, but very few people truly understand. It's the top, the peak, the place where there is no one above you, no one to chase, no one to measure yourself against. And while that sounds like the ultimate goal, what people don't realize is that the top comes with something most aren't prepared for: solitude. And no character embodies this reality more than Dracule Mihawk from One Piece. Because Mihawk is not just the world's greatest swordsman, he is the psychological representation of what it means to reach the peak and stand there alone. When you first look at Mihawk, you see calmness, precision, absolute control. He doesn't move with unnecessary energy. He doesn't speak without purpose. Every action is measured, intentional, and efficient. But beneath that composure is something deeper. A man who has already conquered his mountain. And that creates a unique psychological state. Because most people are motivated by pursuit, by the climb, by the idea of becoming. But what happens when you've already become what you set out to be? For Mihawk, the answer is isolation. He doesn't chase battles. He doesn't seek validation. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. And while that sounds like ultimate freedom, it also removes something fundamental: stimulation, challenge, growth through resistance. Psychologically, human beings are wired for progression. We need something to aim at, something to overcome. Without that, even excellence can begin to feel empty. This is why Mihawk lives the way he does: alone, distant, detached. Not because he fears people, but because very few people exist at his level. And this is one of the hidden costs of mastery. The better you become, the smaller your circle gets. The more disciplined you are, the more you separate yourself from environments that don't match your standard. Over time, this creates distance, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And here's where the lesson becomes real. A lot of people say they want to be the best. They want to stand above everyone else. But they don't understand what that actually requires. To reach Mihawk's level, you have to sacrifice distraction, comfort, and often connection. You have to spend long periods alone, refining your craft, pushing your limits, holding yourself to a standard that most people won't understand. And that kind of lifestyle is not easy, because solitude can either build you or break you. For Mihawk, solitude became discipline. It became clarity. It allowed him to refine his skills to perfection. But for many people, solitude becomes loneliness, doubt, overthinking. The difference is mindset. Mihawk doesn't see solitude as something negative. He sees it as necessary, as part of the process of maintaining excellence. He is comfortable in his own presence, and that is a powerful psychological trait. Because if you cannot be alone with yourself, you will always depend on external noise to feel complete. But Mihawk's story also shows you the limitation of that mindset. Because while he has mastered himself, he lacks something that other characters possess: a sense of shared purpose, a connection that goes beyond individual excellence. Look at Roronoa Zoro. Zoro is also on the path to becoming the greatest swordsman. He trains relentlessly, he embraces discipline, he understands sacrifice, but he is not alone in the same way Mihawk is. He has a crew, a captain in Monkey D. Luffy who gives his journey context. His strength is not just for himself, it's for something bigger. And that difference changes everything, because purpose transforms solitude into something meaningful. Without purpose, solitude can become emptiness. With purpose, solitude becomes focus. Mihawk exists in a space between those two ideas. He has purpose, to be the strongest. But once that purpose is achieved, it evolves into maintenance, rather than growth. And that's where many high performers struggle in real life. They reach a goal, and instead of feeling fulfilled, they feel still. Not because they failed, but because the journey that gave them identity has ended. So what do you do when you reach the top? That's the question Mihawk represents. Do you create a new goal? Do you mentor others? Do you redefine what success means? And this is where Mihawk begins to shift. When he encounters Zoro, something changes. For the first time in a long time, he sees potential. Not just strength, but growth, hunger, direction. And instead of rejecting it, he acknowledges it. He even invests in it. This is important, because it shows that even at the highest level, fulfillment can come from contribution, not just achievement. That's a major lesson. At a certain point, success is no longer about what you gain, it's about what you give. Mihawk doesn't need more power. He doesn't need more recognition. But guiding someone like Zoro gives him something different: engagement, meaning, a renewed sense of relevance in a world where he has already proven everything. And this is where the mindset shifts from individual success to legacy. Because legacy breaks isolation. It connects your journey to something beyond yourself. And that's something Mihawk, whether consciously or not, begins to move toward. Now bring this back to your own life. If you're on a path of growth, discipline, and self-improvement, understand this: there will be seasons of solitude, times where you feel disconnected from others because your focus is different. Your priorities are different. It's part of the process. But don't lose yourself in it. Don't let excellence isolate you to the point where you forget connection, purpose, and impact. Because real success is not just about reaching the top. It's about what your life looks like when you get there. Mihawk shows you the beauty of mastery, the calm, the precision, the control. But he also shows you the cost, the silence, the distance, the lack of equal challenge. So the goal is not just to become great. The goal is to become great and remain connected to something that gives that greatness meaning. Because at the end of the day, being the best in the world means very little if you're the only one standing there. And that's the truth behind Dracule Mihawk. Solitude at the top is real. The question is, will it sharpen you or slowly disconnect you from everything else that makes the journey worth it?